Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Super Mario Odyssey playthrough. It is time for us, finally, to take on the greatest challenge in Mario Odyssey. Or one of them anyway. It's meant to be kind of the big challenge final level. I'd say there are harder power moons in the game, but this is still pretty challenging. And it's because it's in that vein of challenging final Mario levels. The dark side of the moon, Culmina Crater, obviously, is in the culmination of our entire journey. It's just great. I mean, we start with just getting to here, just, a bit of Jump Up Superstar once again. And everyone's wishing us luck, telling us to jump, man. And yeah, we're just going to get to really make use of all the skills that we have learned throughout our journey. And it's... I do really love this moon. So this is Long Journey's End, and it's just great. So in terms of name for Dark Side of the Moon, I mean, beautiful music, we're going to get the medley, all the stuff going on, it's great. So yes, in terms of name, the Japanese call it Tsuki no Kuni Modo Ura, Moon Country, Farther Side. The Spanish call it Cara Mas Oculta, Even More Hidden Side. The French call it Côté Très Obscur, Very Dark Side. The Dutch, Duister Kant, Dark Side. German Stockfinster Sate, Pitch Black Side. The Russian is Temnye Shaya Storona, Darkest Side, and then the Chinese is a variant on the whole farthest side thing. In terms of like Culmina Crater, the Japanese call it Rasuto Crater, which is the last crater. Spanish is Crater Zenith, Zenith Crater. French, Culminateur, from culminant, as in culminating, and crater, as in crater. The Dutch, Kampioniscrater, Champions Crater. Russian Crater Apogea, or Apogea, which is Apogee Crater. And the Chinese call it Suishong Pangxingshan, I think, which is Final Crater. And it's... yeah, it is the final challenge. And what's really awesome is that in this challenge, if you actually manage to complete it, Pauline will wear Mario's cap instead of her own in this kingdom if you come back to it, which is really awesome. There is also actually a glitch that allows you to completely skip the entire challenge. It's basically to do with capturing and swimming with one of the frogs at the beginning, just going straight through midair across the abyss. It's quite impressive when it happens, but we're not doing that, we're doing the actual challenge. And also, once again, apparently Rosalina makes a cameo appearance as an 8-bit sprite on a wall on the building right at the very end that you were able to see. But we're a bit of a way away from that at the minute. But yes, I will say this moon is a challenge. I would say it's not the most challenging final Mario level ever. Like, I would say Grandmaster Galaxy is definitely up there, and I would say Grandmaster Galaxy, the perfect run, is easily far more challenging than this. But this is definitely going to take you a good few tries to get to grips with, because obviously no checkpoints, so you are going to have to do this all in one fell swoop, and there are a couple of particularly challenging segments. I would say that these kind of first few areas are not too bad. It's what we're going to experience relatively soon, actually, that is where you're most likely to die. I mean, the one thing that I also do really like about this particular final challenge is that it does really bring together all the things that you've learned throughout your journey. So you've got like freezing water, you've got fuzzies, you've got just basically everything that you could ever want as a challenge. And we get Yoshi! And this is, when I saw this bit I was just like, yes! Because we get to use Yoshi's wall sticking abilities to use conveyor belts to get up. Oh, it's great! When I first did this bit I kept jumping off. You don't need to, you can just extend your tongue and Yoshi will just slide up. And that's just great. The worst, well, so this is a pretty okay bit. You could, if you chose to, use Yoshi and like get that heart, but really, don't bother, because the second you start kind of trying to use Cappy to get through this area is the second that you're more likely to die, because you hit those kind of electrocution things and you're going to be in for a world of trouble. Now, Sphinx. What is the only kingdom that he has not visited? That would be the Mushroom Kingdom. And that allows us to get an extra power-up heart. Now you can continue to answer the Sphinx's questions, and if you manage to achieve full, complete answering and doing well, then you will, yes, and it's gardening skill, I'm pretty sure. You can get a ridiculous number of coins. Ridiculous number of coins. They will rain down from the sky, and it's beautiful. Annoyingly, I got it wrong on this one, so you're not actually going to get to see what happens when you get it right. But I'm pretty sure it's gardening skill, because obviously he doesn't have any hands to garden with. But oh, this bit, you've got to give up Cappy, and then appearing blocks from the nightmare. I don't know how I managed to survive right there. That was asking for trouble, as was that. The really annoying thing is that you're very likely to potentially die during this section. Your cue as to where you need to go is the rings, but if you die, those rings don't reappear. So then you kind of have to run on guessing as to where you need to go. Also, this bit can be rather terrifying if you haven't realised that you can give Glydon a bit of extra height by shaking the Joy-Con. If you shake the Joy-Con, then, particularly early on, even like here, then you get really more than enough height to make this. You can get through this entire section without using it at all, and in fact that's definitely how I did it the first time, but I would say that's definitely your safer route across. But yeah, and I do have to say, I do really like this tradition of challenging levels for effectively doing like really well and getting towards like completing Mario games as of late, because one of the obviously major criticisms of Mario games is that they're too easy. I mean, I would say that certainly Mario Odyssey has received that criticism itself. For many people it is far too easy. But then you have challenges like this which are challenging, and a lot of people are going to really struggle with getting this power moon. I mean, I definitely struggled for a bit, and I would say this is probably the most terrifying section, because if you don't have 6 hit points and you unfortunately hit one of the fiery thingies, then you just end up in this chaos. You've got the worry of trying to avoid all the blooming minion blighters, but they're just sort of constantly firing at you if you get hit by any of them, and that is just a nightmare. That led to many, many, many deaths on my first kind of run through this kingdom, because it was a disaster. So make sure you have the extra health, otherwise you're going to have a nightmare doing this. And this is where extra leaping with the Pokio is a godsend, because you just go straight up, you don't have to worry about timing at all, it's just a case of you get there, flick up, for the love of God. This bit's a bit of a challenge because you end up with the really strange 2D circular, kind of going around a circle physics, which, yeah, they're really not the best in the world. But as long as you can get up to DK, you're pretty much going to be alright. And then it is time to return to being Bowser for an extra challenging version of that escape sequence. And it's, yeah, this is just awesome. Now apparently, during the challenge bit, when we were as Glydon, you can gain a huge boost in height while entering a whirlwind. And if you manage to achieve that and slow your descent by shaking the controllers, you can fly over the wall with the Bowser painting, because it's all sort of connected, and basically skip the rest of the course. If, however, you fly too high and too far away from the island with the Bowser painting, then you'll completely skip that section as well and go directly to the penultimate area of the level, which is basically where we are right now. That is effectively all of the challenge of the dark side of the moon complete. We now get what is always a wonderful, wonderful tradition of them saying thank you. So really, at the same time, I just have to say thank you so much for watching this playthrough, and hopefully you've enjoyed it, because I definitely know that I have. And I mean, thank you to Nintendo for making this beautiful, brilliantly fun game, because it has just been an absolute delight through and through. And now, just as we began our journey capturing a frog, the long journey's end so ends with a frog. We have indeed seen a bunch of different kingdoms. I mean, sure, we got shot down and stuff along the way. But it definitely has been fun. This trip really was amazing. Thank you, everyone. It's been an honour walking a mile with Cappy on our heads. And so we have reached a long journey's end. For completing the dark side of the moon, we unlock a rather peculiar outfit. The invisibility hat, which allows us to be invisible. Which is crazy, because you can't actually see anything, and it's terrifying. But Well, we've gotten 545 moons, and that is the kind of last moons that we're going to be getting in the game. We're not quite done with this playthrough just yet. So, I shall see you next time, when we will have a little look at a certain some things.